They would add in a couple notes about how terrifying it is that the Russians are trying to colonially occupy Greenland and how the Chinese are trying to do. Let's look at the logistics behind Trump's purchase of Greenland.
President-elect Donald Trump says he wants to wrestle ownership and control of Greenland, renewing a pledge he first made in 2019.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time.
Donald Trump Jr. just visited the territory, where locals were seen wearing MAGA hats.
I just want to say that it's a very special place.
But to actually buy the island, the U.S. would have to first now.
They really are bad at doing PSYOP. Like, they straight up are bad. Like, Democrats are, unironically, for all of their faults and failures, this is the one thing that Democrats do care about, is like at least putting a lot of initiative behind like decent propaganda. Like, come on, man. You went to a restaurant in Greenland and like there was 8 people wearing MAGA hats. Like, that is, you're not even trying. Democrats would have found like an Inuit group that is seeking out American liberation and like juice them to the freaking gills with bribes to talk about like Danish colonialism and its impact on Greenland last week. Like, it's kind of crazy that they really do lead by force. Like, they have no interest in doing any sort of propaganda operation where they're just like, yeah, we found a bunch of people that wear MAGA hats. Look, they love us. You know what I mean? Apparently people with MAGA hats are unhoused people who are paid with a meal. That's what I'm saying. It's like, that is terrible. That is like entry level propaganda. You are not doing a good enough job trying to create reasonable ground as to why, Greenland must be American. That's what I'm saying. Like, Democrats would run this so much better, even though they kind of flubbed with Israel. They failed because, it got to a point where it was impossible to do propaganda for. But like, Democrats would be so much better at this. They would immediately, I'm telling you, they would go and find like native Greenlanders, okay? Sitting on top of like, I don't know, like a lithium reserve or something. And they would juice them to the gills with contracts, like unimaginable contracts. Like, if you help us extract these resources, we will promise you prosperity. You open up the door that way through the private enterprise angle. And then once you have developed a decent enough relationship with them, you then turn around and you say, you know what would be amazing? If all Greenlanders could be liberated from the scourge of Danish colonialism. Okay? Then they would they would set up shop, create NGOs in Greenland for a multitude of different things that they perceive Greenlanders care about, but specifically colonial liberation. You would start seeing like voice of Daneland articles talking about how Greenland must emancipate itself from the chains of Danish colonialism, and that the Danish have left them behind, exploited them for far too long. And most of all, one of the things that Greenlanders want more than anything else is the beauty of free enterprise, an opportunity to actually work with the global leaders in economic opportunity, the United States of America. Okay, then Radio Free Greenland would constantly churn out this propaganda. The NGOs would go to like student groups or whoever, right, about, make Greenland gay or whatever kind of social issues they might perceive in Greenland. Then New York Times would write an article about the Inuit suppression forced by the Danish upon Greenland. They would go and interview some of these NGOs that have set up shop there. Okay, then they would turn around and start highlighting some of the Inuit population in Greenland that want liberation. You've already developed a decent reputation with them. Those are your guys. You can use them all the time. You would create so much pro-Greenland emancipation propaganda, okay? You could create so much pro-Greenland emancipation propaganda as a just cause that you would turn around and have the entirety of the international institutions also admonish Denmark for its for its colonial stranglehold that is placed on top of Greenland. And the only way to liberate Greenland would be the United States of America and its involvement. They would maybe, for good nature, they would add in a couple. They would add in a couple notes about how terrifying it is that the Russians are trying to colonially occupy Greenland, and how the Chinese are trying to do colonialism on Greenland as well. And ultimately, they would move on with a security partnership and cooperation as they, turn Greenland into a territory. So you'd rather manipulate them instead of being upfront about wanting their land? I would rather us not do any of those things. I'm just simply stating that the only people who are still invested in running these sorts of operations are the Democratic Party. The Republicans have completely dropped it. And they're just very openly just go and they're like, no, it's ours. What are you going to do? We're America. We'll fuck you up. The point is, Republicans see no reason to do manufactured consent. That's my point. That's ultimately what I'm saying. Whereas Democrats still do care about that. I missed the part where the U.S. funds a right-wing rebellion. Oh, that too. It's dependent on what the political environment looks like.
Navigate a series of obstacles. Greenland, a former Danish colony, has been tied to Denmark both politically and culturally for centuries. It's hosted multiple visits from the Danish royal family and features symbolically in the crown's coat of arms. Following Trump's latest comments, Denmark's king unveiled a change to the centuries-old design, making the segment representing Greenland more prominent. Although Greenland now has powers to self-govern, the island is still bound to Danish approval on certain issues.
And Denmark maintains responsibility for national defense and security, while at the same time the Greenlandic government has responsibility and control over domestic issues and domestic resources.
So under the current framework, Trump would need to convince both the Danish government and government of Greenland to agree to a deal. But if those connections were to detangle through independence, a movement which has been gaining momentum in recent years, Trump could directly...
I like that the media is on autopilot. Like, the media is on autopilot already. Like, Trump might do a bad job at it, but it doesn't fucking matter. The media will do it for him. That's amazing.
Negotiate with Greenland. Some Greenlanders are welcoming Trump's interest as a way to pursue that goal. That includes one of the island's most prominent online influencers.
3 things you should know about Greenland.
When I look overall, I'm happy that US is showing this much interest in Greenland, because this way we are being heard much, much more around the world. It feels like us getting the attention is speeding up our independence of Greenland from Denmark.
However, even if Greenland gained independence, analysts say purchasing it is far-fetched.
This decision about Greenland is for Greenlanders. I don't believe the Greenlanders are interested in swapping one relationship with Denmark for the United States.
Plus, the government of Greenland has said it's not for sale. But if Trump did manage to make a deal, analysts say 2/3 of Congress would have to ratify a treaty before the takeover would be signed into law by the president. This process is not without historical precedent. In 1867, Andrew Johnson gained control of what is now known as Alaska from Russia in a deal which cost the U.S. $7.2 million, equivalent to around $138 million today. The U.S. has also tried to buy Greenland before.
Sturdy deep-sea cutters of the United States Coast Guard patrol the western Greenland shores.
Following World War II in 1946, U.S. President Harry Truman offered to buy it for $100 million. Denmark refused to sell. So far, Trump hasn't floated a concrete figure for any purchase. Instead, another option he has not ruled out is taking military action.
Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security.
Trump has also suggested leveraging economic policy to achieve his goals in Greenland. He's threatened to hit Denmark with tariffs if Danish officials don't cooperate with his takeover bid. Ultimately, it isn't clear how taking control of Greenland would be achieved.
The reason that the Truman administration didn't need to go forward is because NATO was created 3 years later, And that was the basis by which the United States signed in 1951 our first defense agreement with the Kingdom of Denmark, which allowed us to create our northernmost military base in northwest Greenland.
That base, which still exists today, includes a radar station that is part of the US's ballistic missile early warning system.
The thought about, invasion, well, we're invading ourselves. We have a base that is right there, and it's so important to the United States. And again, we have the strongest ally and partner in the Kingdom of Denmark.
Even some of Trump's advisors acknowledge a Greenland takeover is unlikely. They say instead an expansion of U.S. presence on the island through economic investments and a larger military footprint is a possibility.
And I think the other option, which I think is more realistic, the U.S. could pursue a compact of free association agreements like we have with Micronesia and some of the other island Pacific nations. Right, this approach would allow the United States to expand our access and influence, but also while providing.
Remember when you said mining contracts? The YouTuber influencers they just showed. Kuna Puk Olsen currently works as a Greenlandic director for Ironbark Zinc, an Australian Securities Exchange listed mineral resource company focused on the development of the Citronen mine zinc project in Greenland. Man, that's so shocking. The Greenlandic chatter here, Inuit initially started being critical of the U.S., like with the military base in Tula and the forcible moving of native population there. There was an international lawsuit. Now the latest polls show Greenlanders view very positively to NATO and the U.S., result of your described optimal propaganda. Yeah. Soon you will hear about Greenlanders and their resentment towards Russia and Russian imperialism and China. The real reason why, obviously, this is happening is because it's a new trade route that has opened up that China and Russia can use willy-nilly due to, obviously, climate change. Arctic Studies Group is an extension of the Naval Academy. Dude, we have affairs everywhere. We have our tentacles in every country all the time, everywhere. Like, think about how easy it is to just like activate a bunch of NGOs and a bunch of like normal, neutral sounding groups. Yeah, it's not just climate change. Russia plans to use their northern waters to streamline trade and begin whipping the U.S. in logistics. Yeah. That trade route is shit is such delusional, antiquated thought, completely divorced from science. If that's what's being thought, climate change will force regionalism. There will no longer be global trade, like under neoliberalism within a decade. Oh, here, this is the shitty propaganda that Trump is doing. Sources for DR, Trump's people bribe the homeless and socially disadvantaged with hotel dinners to play Trump supporters. Few people have probably noticed that Donald Trump Jr. Tuesday visited Greenland as a part of Trump's plan to gather greater control over Greenland. Here, several of Greenlanders appeared wearing red MAGA, Make America Great Again caps while posing with Trump's son. Several of them even enjoyed a lunch with Trump Jr. at Hereford Beef Stew at the fine Hotel Hans Egede in Nuuk, where Donald Trump even called in to talk to his Greenlandic supporters. At X, the Greenlanders present in MAGA caps are referred to as the local community in Nuuk, but several sources are now telling DR that the portion of these peoples who appear in the video from Trump's campaigners and in the video that Extra Bladet has recorded with the dinner guests are homeless, unsocially disadvantaged, who are often out in front of the utility in Nuuk, Bruxelles, located directly opposite of Hotel Hans Egede. This is a hate crime? Yeah, that's fucked up. We do not speak like fucking Swedes. This violation is too much. A lot of natural resources. It's so funny whenever I talk about like a country with like what, 70,000 people max, there's still a couple chatters in here that are like, oh, I'm from Greenland. Like, it blows my mind. I think the craziest one isn't Greenland though. The craziest one is when chatters come in and they're like, they're from like, I'm Danish. Oh, never mind. Okay. Boo to you. You colonizer. There is a Greenlander in the chat, the car suck guy. But there's you're from Denland? No, not even Moldova. Hey, second generation Algerian. Okay, I'm just memeing anyway. Yeah, there's like there's chatters from Tajikistan. Or yeah, Kyrgyz. There he is, Poker Guy 18, Kyrgyz chatter. Not Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan. There's a dude living in a village in Kyrgyzstan who watches. There's 2 dudes from Kyrgyzstan. It's crazy. I'm one of like 5 Japanese chatters. Yeah, I'm always shocked that I have fans in Japan. Anyway, but yeah, we'll pack it up real quick, dude. That's why I said like a security cooperation agreement with Greenland is infinitely more likely than annexation of Canada. I think that stuff is crazy. Annexation of Canada stuff is like insane. I don't think it'll happen, but obviously like Greenland security cooperation, very likely. And so is something with like a side deal with Panama as well.
Getting safety and security for the Greenlandic people.
Greenland has vast deposits in rare earths, oil, and gas, also making it a focal point for other major rivals, including China and Russia.
Greenland is quite essential for the homeland security of the United States. It has been that way certainly since the Second World War to prevent Nazi Germany from invading the United States, the Soviet Union, strategic bombers, Russian submarines. The United States has to prioritize the Arctic and making sure that we have the strongest possible defense and deterrence. We don't need to purchase Greenland to do that. We have a robust security, defense, and economic relationship with the Kingdom of Denmark. They have been open for business for quite some time. We just have to deepen that investment. It's the right thing to do, but we certainly don't have to purchase it.
The Trump effect intensified with the arrival of Donald Trump Jr. in Greenland shortly after his father's controversial remarks, flying into Nuuk aboard the family's 757 jet dubbed Trump Force One. He spent just 4 hours and 33 minutes in the capital. During his brief stay, he met with locals and offered polite but non-committal remarks. It's been incredibly nice to meet people, and people were very happy to meet with us, he said after having lunch at a local hotel. Dad will have to come here. Soon after, he was back to the warmer climates of Florida. Trump Jr.'s visit was welcomed by local businessman Jorgen Bossen, a former campaigner for the president-elect. Speaking to local media, Bossen described himself as Trump's biggest fan, adding, "Of course they are interested in our country, and they are welcome to come and see what it's like. It's also about opening up for trade and cooperation." Nuuk, the world's northmost capital, boasts a thriving civil society and a robust press. Many here take some satisfaction in the fact that Trump's comments have thrust the debate over Greenland's independence onto the global stage. If you found this video interesting, then make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and thanks for watching.